Trump says he wants to buy Greenland. China's already bought the only part that matters. And 300 million Americans are about to pay for it. But this isn't about land. Your iPhone has 17 rare earth elements inside it. The camera that takes portrait mode, neodymium magnets, the vibration, if you feel, terbium alloys, the speaker clarity, dysprosium, every single one refined in China. Tesla Model 3, 1 kilogram of neodymium magnets per electric motor. F-35 fighter jet, 417 kilograms of rare earths per aircraft if China cuts refining access in the next 12 months. iPhone price plus $420. Tesla wait time 3 years minimum. Military production halted. I spent 15 hours analyzing this data from U.S. Geological Survey 2024. Mineral summaries, Shanghai Resources, annual financial reports, Greenland minerals, stock exchange filings, MIT technology reviews, refining process breakdown, and CSIS, geopolitical supply chain analysis. My methodology: I mapped the ownership structure from mine to shareholder, cross-referenced export flows, where raw ore goes, versus where refined products come from, then verified refining capacity data across 10 years. The pattern: nobody's connecting. It's not about who owns the mine. 2024 USGS data. China mines 70% of rare earths globally. United States has mines. Australia has the world's largest reserves. Greenland's Quantafiel deposit could be number 2. But here's the first insight that the media completely misses. China doesn't just mine 70%. China refines 90%. You cannot put raw ore in an iPhone. You cannot build a Tesla motor from unrefined rock. You need this. Pause for dramatic effect. A refining facility. The chemical process that turns worthless dirt into precision magnets. And that is what China controls. Not the holes in the ground. The invisible 90% of the supply chain. The refining process. This is what separates China from everyone else. Step 1. Crush the ore into powder. Simple. Anyone can do this. Step 2. Leach with sulfuric acid. Dissolve the minerals. Still basic chemistry. But then. Step 3. Solvent extraction. This is where it gets brutal. You run the solution through 17 separate extraction stages. 17. Each stage isolates one specific element. Neodymium from praseodymium, dysprosium from terbium. These elements are chemically identical twins. Separating them requires patented chemical processes. China controls those patents. Step 4. Separate all 17 different rare earth elements from each other. Step 5. Precipitate into oxides. Step 6. Reduce oxides to pure metal using electrolysis. Step 7. Create precision alloys, the exact mixture for iPhone magnets versus Tesla motors versus F-35 components. Different recipes for different uses. How did this happen? 1990. United States and Europe controlled 60% of global refining. China had 20%. But refining rare earths is environmentally catastrophic. Sulfuric acid waste, radioactive thorium byproduct, heavy metal contamination. Western countries passed environmental laws, closed refineries, outsourced to China. By 2015, last major U.S. refining facility shut down. Molycorp in California. Bankrupt. China accepted the pollution, built capacity over 30 years. And now, here we are, 90% monopoly. Now Greenland, Kvanefjeld southern Greenland, 60 kilometers from the coast. $35 billion in rare earth reserves, one of the world's largest undeveloped deposits. Sounds like the solution, right? America and Europe can finally break free from China. Except there's a problem. The deposit is laced with uranium, not weapons grade, but enough to be an environmental nightmare. Radioactive waste mixed with rare earth extraction. Greenland's government banned the project in 2021 after environmental protests. But here's what didn't make headlines. Greenland Minerals Limited, the Australian company that owns the mining lease, has a MIT 12.5% shareholder. Company name, Shanghai Resources, Chinese, state-backed, rare earth refining giant. They're not going anywhere. They're waiting. Because even if Greenland reverses the ban and allows mining, guess where that ore is going for processing? The iceberg everyone misses. Visible, 10%. Mines in America, Australia, Greenland. Media covers this. Politicians talk about this. Invisible, 90%. Refining capacity, chemical patents, processing infrastructure. China owns this. Let me show you how the trap works. Path A, U.S. mines, rare earths in California. Path B, ships, raw ore to China. Path C, China refines it. Path D, ships back to U.S. as refined metal at 5x markup. We can't skip Path BC because we don't have the refining plants. The last U.S. refining facility closed in 2015. Mountain Pass, California. Raw ore, ships to China. Linus, Australia. Processing partnership with China. Kvanefjeld, Greenland. If reopened, same story. Here's the trap everyone falls into. You think owning the mine means controlling the supply. It's like owning a diamond mine, but only China has the diamond cutters. You own rocks. They control jewelry. Countries are fighting over the iceberg's R-tip, who gets mining rights, while China owns the base, the refining monopoly that processes everyone's ore. Trump wants to buy Greenland's mines. Sounds strategic, right? But even if the U.S. owned Kvanefjeld 100%, the ore still goes to China for refining. China still controls pricing. China still takes 70% of the value in the supply chain. Ownership means nothing without processing capability. Here's the paradox. U.S. government announces $1 billion to boost domestic rare earth mining. Media cheers. Congress applauds. Bipartisan support. New mines announced. Subsidies approved. American flags wave. But mining isn't the problem. Refining is. Building a refining facility? 7 to 10 years. $2 to $4 billion. Investment. Environmental permits. From hell? You need EPA approval, state permits, wastewater treatment facilities, radioactive waste disposal plans, community hearings, lawsuit after lawsuit. China built theirs over 30 years while accepting horrific pollution, entire regions contaminated, cancer village, toxic lakes. They paid the price in human health. The West wasn't willing to make that trade-off, so we outsourced the dirty work. So here's what actually happens. U.S. opens. New mine. Great. That ore still ships to China for refining because that's the only place with capacity. We're running in circles. Every new mine announcement makes headlines. Politicians take credit, but the ore still goes to China for processing. And every ton of ore we send them makes China's refining monopoly stronger. More economies of scale, more profit, more leverage. The real winner? China, because every new U.S. mine announcement makes headlines. But the reality? We're fighting over the tip of the iceberg while China owns the base. Greenland? Same trap. Even if Trump buys it, even if mining starts tomorrow, that ore needs refining. And Shanghai Resources, that 12.5%. Chinese shareholder? They're not panicking. They're patient because they know the game. Axion X, to achieve Y, actually creates anti-Y. We want independence from China, so we open mines without refining, which makes us more dependent on China. That's the paradox. And who pays the price? You do. Every iPhone, every Tesla, every laptop, Chinese refined, rare earths, and China sets the price. They've done it before. 2010, China restricted rare earth exports to Japan over a territorial dispute. Prices spiked 10x. In 6 months, Toyota, Panasonic, Sony, all scrambling. U.S. military has a strategic stockpile, but it's only 6 to 12 months. If China cuts off refining tomorrow, we burn through it fast. Countries are fighting over who gets to own holes in the ground, while China quietly owns the entire processing infrastructure that turns those holes into actual products. We're fighting the wrong battle. So what does this mean for you? Let's get specific. Impact on you. Specific timeline. If China cuts rare earth refining access tomorrow, here's exactly what happens. 6 months. From a supply cut, tech companies activate emergency protocols. They burn through stockpiles. Executives scramble to find alternative suppliers. There are none. Apple delays iPhone 17 release by 3 months. Production cuts. Your new iPhone that was supposed to ship in September, now it's December. And when it finally arrives, price went up 15%. That's plus $150 on a base model. Pre-orders? Forget it. Limited quantities. Tesla? Every Model 3 needs 1 kilogram of neodymium magnets per motor. No Chinese refining equals no magnets. Current 3-month delivery? Now 18 months. Your 401k? If you're heavy in tech stocks, like most Americans, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, you're watching 8 to 12% evaporate in the first quarter. That's just the beginning. 12 months in, full consumer impact hits. Electronics average up 40% across the category. That $900 laptop, now $1,260. The TV you wanted, $600, became $840. And inventory is scarce. Average American household owns 2 smartphones, 1 laptop, 1 TV. If you're replacing any of these within 12 months, you're paying an extra $1,200 to $1,500. That's the China refining tax you never knew existed. Manufacturing jobs? Companies that build electronics in the U.S. The assembly jobs? Quality control, logistics. They're cutting staff. Can't build products without components. Your 401k. Tech stocks? Down 25 to 30% at the 12-month mark. Not because the companies are bad, because production halted. No rare earths equals no products equals no revenue. This isn't speculation. It happened before. 2010, China cut rare earth exports to Japan over disputed islands. Toyota couldn't get magnets for Prius. Hybrid motors. Panasonic couldn't make batteries. Prices went up 1,000%. That's 10x in 6 months. What could trigger this? Taiwan conflict, South China Sea escalation, trade war. Round 2. Take your pick. Future scenarios. Let's be realistic about probabilities. Worst case, 20% chance. China weaponizes rare earth refining in a major geopolitical crisis. Taiwan invasion, full trade war, complete embargo on refining services to the West. Timeline, 18 to 24 months of supply chain chaos. Tech industry in crisis. Military scrambling. Prices skyrocket. Recession triggered by supply shock. This is the nightmare scenario. Likely case, 60% chance. China doesn't do a full embargo. Too obvious, too aggressive. Instead, they use salami slicing tactics. Gradual export restrictions. Environmental regulations that conveniently slow Chinese exports. Price manipulation, slowly raising refining costs, forcing U.S. companies to build manufacturing plants in China if they want guaranteed supply. Slow squeeze. Over 5 years. You don't notice until you're trapped. Meanwhile, U.S. and EU announce refining facilities. Politicians celebrate, but construction delays, environmental lawsuits, cost overruns. The 2028 target becomes 2032, then 2035. China's playing the long game. Best case, 20% chance. U.S. and EU actually fast-track refining infrastructure. Brutal environmental trade-offs accepted. $10 billion. Investment committed and delivered. Timeline. First facilities operational by 2028 to 2030. Not full independence. Maybe 30% of our needs, but enough to break China's total monopoly. Prices stabilize. National security threat reduced. But here's the cost. Nobody wants to say we're accepting the environmental damage we outsourced to China. Toxic waste, radioactive byproduct, cancer risks. Someone's backyard becomes the sacrifice zone. That's the real trade-off. What you can do. 3. Concrete actions. Action 1. If you invest, look at your portfolio right now. Are you heavy in tech stocks? Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, semiconductor companies? Diversify out. Not completely, but reduce concentration. This is a real supply chain risk. Financial advisors aren't pricing this in yet. Action 2. If you're buying an electric vehicle, lock in your order now, before the next supply crunch, before the next price jump. Tesla, Rivian, Ford 15 Lightning, whatever you want. Order today. Delivery times only get longer. Action 3. Contact your congressional representative. Don't ask for more. Mining subsidies. Demand refining infrastructure investment. Specific ask $10 billion. Federal fund for rare earth refining facilities with fast-track environmental review. Not more mines, refineries. Say it clearly. Full sources in the description. U.S. Geological Survey, Mineral Commodity Summaries, 2024, Shanghai Resources, Annual Financial Reports, filed with the SEC, Greenland Minerals, Australian Stock Exchange, filings, MIT Technology Review, Refining Process, Technical Breakdown, CHIS, Geopolitical Supply Chain, Analysis Reports. My methodology. I mapped the entire supply chain, from mine extraction to chemical refining to final manufacturing, cross-checked, ownership structures, who owns, what percentage, of which companies, verified, export flow data, where raw materials go, versus where refined products come from, analyzed, refining capacity trends, over 10 years, 15 hours of research to connect these dots. What I don't know, and this matters, for intellectual honesty. Classified military, supply agreements. The Department of Defense has confidential contracts with rare earth suppliers. I can't access those. The real military supply chain might be more secure than public data suggests, or it might be worse. I don't know. Real-time contract terms between Greenland minerals and Chinese refining firms. These are proprietary business agreements, not public. I'm working from shareholder filings and annual reports. The actual contracts might have different terms than what's disclosed. Exact timeline for proposed US and EU refining facilities. Politicians announce 2028. Engineers say 2032. Environmental lawyers say 2035. I don't know who's right. There's always a gap between political announcements and engineering reality, probably closer to 2032 based on historical construction timelines. But that's an educated guess, not confirmed data. Greenland government's private negotiations with Chinese investors. What's discussed? Behind closed doors? What unofficial agreements exist? I have no access to diplomatic cables. The 12.5% stake is public. Everything else is speculation. Bottom line, this analysis is based on public data only, government documents, corporate filings, academic research, industry reports. The actual situation might be more secure than I'm presenting, or it might be worse. I'm showing you what's knowable from public sources. The Greenland story isn't about Trump buying land. It's not about military bases or Arctic control. It's about who controls the invisible 90% of the iceberg. Countries are fighting over mines. The visible 10%. China already won. The refining infrastructure. The invisible 90% that actually matters. And right now, that's where the power is. If this changed how you see tech supply chains, hit subscribe. Because next video, why Taiwan isn't about democracy. It's about semiconductors. And the stakes? 100x higher than rare earths. The chip that's in your phone right now? There's only one place on Earth that can make it, and China wants it. See you there.